In this video, you'll see how to import order, invoice, and shelf-ready data files in WorldShare acquisitions. The order file would be a MARC file from the vendor with the items you ordered on the vendor's website. When you import the order file, WMS creates one or more orders for these items in WMS. You can also import invoice and shelf-ready files. These are MARC files from the vendor that can be imported as a single file or separately. Shelf-ready files contain the item's call numbers and barcodes. And finally, you can import invoice files in Edifact from your vendor. These would have the invoice level charges, for example, service and shipping costs, in the header as non-bibliographic line items on the invoice. Importing order, invoice, and shelf-ready files must be set up by you and your vendor before you can import these files into WorldShare acquisitions. In this video, we'll look at importing order, invoice, and shelf-ready data files in MARC. You can use the documentation for WMS acquisitions to work with your vendor to be sure they can supply the data in the specific 9XX fields as required. You'll find the 9XX data file tables for order, invoice, and shelf-ready files in separate tables in the help. Go to help.oclc.org and then select Library Management, WorldShare Acquisitions, Import. There are specific 9XX fields for each type of data. For example, order data files will have branch and shelving locations, fund codes, and order item numbers. Invoice data files will include the invoice number and date and item amounts. And shelf-ready data will include call numbers and barcodes. So after you've contacted your vendor and confirmed that they can send you your files with the required 9XX fields, these are the steps you'd follow to import these files into WMS acquisitions. In this workflow, we're importing order, invoice, and shelf-ready data files in MARC. So after you place your order on your vendor's website, the vendor will send you a MARC order data file. So your first step is to import the order data file into WMS acquisitions. Next, you'll need to place the order in WMS acquisitions. You're not actually sending the order to the vendor, but just placing it in WMS. Next, you import the invoice and shelf-ready data files that you received from your vendor. The invoice and shelf-ready MARC data files can be in the same file or in separate files. And then you'll be able to receive the items. And last, you'll be able to review and pay the invoice. So let's see how this works in WorldShare acquisitions. I've logged on and I'm going to select acquisitions. Let's say that I've received my order data file from my vendor and I've saved it locally. So I'll need to go to the vendor page to upload this file. So I'm going to click on vendors and I'll enter the name of my vendor, Robinsons, and I'll do a keyword search. Next, I'm going to click on the name of the vendor that I'm using, Robinsons Books and More, to select it. And then I'm going to select Partner Exchange Services. And then I'm going to click on Upload File. And the type of file that I want is the order data file in MARC. So I'm going to now click on Browse to find the file that I received from my vendor and saved locally. I can see that it's the order.mrc file that I want. The .mrc is the file extension for the MARC Communications format. So I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to click Open. And now I'm ready to click Upload. And the system responds, your file was successfully uploaded. So I'll click on the X to close the dialog box. Now you may need to click the refresh icon to see the report for the upload. And then it appears, and you can see the date and the time of the upload, the status, and the result. In this case, 3 records were imported on one order. And then finally, on the details column, you can see the PO number for the order. There's also a link to the email that was sent notifying me that the order data file was uploaded. If I click on the View Details link, you can see the details of the file upload, including the titles in the file. I'll close this detailed view now. Next, I'm going to click on the link to the PO number because my next step is to place the order in WMS. And now here's the order. So I'm going to scroll to the bottom of the order here. And here are the three titles that were included in the order data file with the locations, funds, and pricing that was included in the 9XX fields. I'll click on the first title, Beethoven, to see the item details. And next I'm going to click on the Order tab. Here you can see the vendor order item number. This is what will be used when I load the shelf ready data file to match it to this order item. I'm going to go back to the order by clicking the order number now. Next, I need to place this order in WMS. I'm going to click on Place Order. And the system responds, you're about to place the order, April 2020 order. It's also telling me that I'm missing an ISBN number, but that's okay since I've actually already ordered this item on the vendor's website. So I can just uncheck Notify Vendor since I'm just placing the order to encumber the funds in my budgets and to move on to the next step. And now I'll click on Place Order. The status now changes from open to placed. So let's say some time has passed and I've now received the shipment of items I ordered along with the invoice and shelf-ready data file from the vendor. So I need to go back to the vendor page. So I'm going to click on Vendors over there on the left, and then I'll click on the vendor Robinsons from my history. Now I'm going to upload the invoice and shelf-ready data file. So I'll click on Upload. Then I'll open the Type drop-down, and I'm going to select the Import Invoice Shelf-Ready Data in MARC. Then I'm going to click on Browse to find my file. This will also be a .mrc file, and I can see it is the invsr.mrc file there. So I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to click on Open. And now I'm ready to click Upload. And the system responds, your file was successfully uploaded. Now you may need to click the refresh icon again to see the results of the upload. And now I can see that the invoice shelf-ready MARC file was uploaded. 3 records were processed, and on the last column you can see the links to receive the items with their vendor order item numbers, and the link to the invoice for these items. I'm going to click on the first Receive link. This takes me to the Receive an Invoice screen, but I just need to receive it. The locations and the barcode are populated from the shelf-ready data in the file that I uploaded. So I'm just going to click in the barcode text box and hit Enter to receive the first title. If I click the items processed in this session, you can see the item that I just received. So this item is now available for discovery and circulation. If I needed to edit it, I could click on the barcode. Now I want to receive the rest of the items from this order. So I could go back to the vendor page and click the next Receive link. But if I wanted to see all of the items on the receiving screen, I can search for them, for example, by the PO number. So I'm going to click in the Search drop-down, and then I'm going to select Order Number. And then I'm going to type in the PO number for this order. So here are the other items, and I can receive them by simply clicking in the barcode field and hitting Enter on my keyboard. So I'm going to click in the barcode field for the first title, Beethoven. And now the first title on the list, Beethoven, is received, and it appears in the items processed area. Now I'll receive the last item, Bach, by again clicking in the barcode text box and hitting Enter. And now this item is received and also appears in the processed area. Now I want to go to the invoice that was uploaded with these items. I'll click on Vendors on the left, and then I'll click on the name of the vendor in my search history, and then I'll click on the link to the invoice. You can see it says invoice 422477, so I'm going to click on the invoice number there. Here I can review or edit the invoice if I need to. The pricing and invoice date and number came from the invoice data file that I uploaded. And now I'm ready to click on Pay so I can expend these amounts from the encumbered amounts for these funds. And the system responds, you're about to pay the invoice. Invoice information will not be editable anymore. Do you want to proceed? And I'll click Yes. And the system responds, invoice paid. If you have questions about importing MARC order, invoice, and shelf-ready files, you can contact OCLC support in your region at oc.lc/support. Thanks for watching.